Hello, hello, and welcome to 2025. We did it, we did it. And this is our first card reading of the year. So let's also look at it not only as our weekly card reading, but a little bit as an annual forecast. I'm not sure if you have ever done a reading for yourself for the year. I like to do one card per month, so a 12 card spread for my personal annual forecast. And this is something I offer if anybody would like guidance for the year ahead. We have this week, not only do we have the Aries first quarter moon, but it is also happening at the same time that Mars retrograde steps back from Leo into Cancer. And we also have Mercury finally moving into the sign of Capricorn, which is a long time coming as Mercury did his retrograde through Sagittarius. So it'll be a lovely shift of energy this week on multiple fronts. And well, some of it might feel less than comfortable, but I think the shift is what's needed. And so this week we have an extra bonus card, but remember to pick a card between 1 and 4 to get your more focused slant on the reading, because this is not a personal reading, it is a collective reading. Pick a number and let's dive in. Okay, I am really loving this for our step into a new year by the Gregorian calendar. In astrology, we would consider the new year when we start Aries season, but by the Gregorian calendar, we are in our new year. And I love the way we're starting with the 10 of Wands, because the 10 of Wands is, okay, let's do it. Let's pack our bags. Let's get on a journey. And she's probably a little overpacked, and the trip can be heavy going and a little tedious, but there is that spark of momentum that gets her to that next step. Ideally, what we should have done at the end of the year or last week, or however you want to think about it, is we should have cleared some clutter so we didn't have to carry so many things. You know, I am definitely guilty of being that person who packs with the intention of shedding on the other side, or I intend to shed before I pack, but it never happens because of timing, and then I expect to do it on the other side, and oftentimes you don't do that then either, and it just gets shoved into cupboards, and it just compounds. And so this is definitely a card that says, okay, well, you have stepped into the new year, you are en route with the new process, but what is it that you can shed? Because we should be traveling light. And I mean that not so much physically, although that too, but in terms of the baggage we carry, the ancestral patterns that are really ready to be outgrown. And so it is time to travel light. How can you travel lighter? Even if it's impossible for us to unshed everything, how can you travel lighter? And that takes us into the King of Swords. Oops, sorry, touched the wrong one. So you see how he's looking into that card, and he is a very discerning, intelligent guy. And as he is a swords card, he is able to cut away what we don't need. And you can see he has an owl there, which we know is linked to wisdom. He has the raven and the bat. So two night animals, a day animal. But there is this, a raven is often linked to death, but that is also the death of a cycle. And bats are also kind of looked at as a little bit spooky and nighttimey. So the point here is, what is it that the shadow stuff, what is it that I don't really like looking at? What are the things that scare me? And yet, if I can clear that, especially as he is swords, he is a mental guy. So what mental things can I shift in order to travel lighter? And it's almost as if he is reflecting into the card before, recognizing, how long have I been carrying this baggage? How long have I been dragging this along and exhausting myself with it? And is it worth carrying? Now, if you've been watching my card readings for a while, you know I use the suit most of all, because it is almost always, in fact, because it is really my go-to deck. When I do these readings, I have many, many decks when I do personal readings. Just to tell you, I have many decks. But many of the swords cards in this particular deck have got people in bindings, blindfolded or tied up. There's a lot of being in knots, which is also, if you think about it, what we do with our thinking process. And in this one, you can see the strands have been released. Even his hair, they're flowing free. He's no longer trapped by his outdated thinking. He's been able to be discerning and unemotional enough, which is a handy aspect of the air suit, which is the swords. He has been able to be unemotional enough to be objective, and that is not always easy for us in life. When we get emotionally triggered by things, we build our stories, the words, the thoughts around that emotional trigger. So to be able to step up and out of that, or get above it, like the creatures that are in his image are all flying creatures, get above the problem, look at it without the emotional aspect, and then recognize what it is time to get rid of. And then we come into a more emotional card, and then we go back into swords. I just want to just jump to this card because the Ace of Swords is a new beginning. It is new thinking. And you can see it's kind of like spiraling upwards is what we want to be doing, especially if this card is upright as it is. Oh, actually, it's a good note. They're all upright this week. So this is spiraling your thinking upwards to higher thinking, to releasing the heavy, outmoded beliefs, and even the chin up, eyes forward and up, with although closed. So it is again a higher frequency above the emotional triggers. And then we come to the emotional card that has come up, because Cups is our more emotional suit. It links to the element of water. So we've got fire, water, air, and then our bonus card is an earth. So we have all of the elements featured in this reading. And the Nine of Cups, if we were going to get a Cups card, this is definitely one we would eagerly choose. It is one of the really, really lovely Cups cards. It is golden and treasures. You found the treasure trove deep beneath the depths of things, and you're ready to feel this emotional release, this emotional expansion and freedom. So again, quite possibly because you did the cutting away. If you look at the trajectory of this reading, you set out on a journey, you used all your fire and impetus to kind of keep you moving, that momentum that was needed, bearing in mind that our momentum planet, our drive planet, which is Mars, is still retrograde, and he's going back into the watery Cancerian side today. So it was quite tricky to pack up and get moving and motivate yourself into the new week, the new year, the new whatever job or whatever it is for you. And then there was that process of getting above the feelings, mostly the emotions of it, because probably your body starts to feel tired at this point, but your body is starting to feel tired also because not only of the physical movement of this heavy load, but because of the emotional turmoil. And once we have cut away the extra baggage that we don't need, we have this emotional release and a sense of trust and surrender and expansion. And we're able to float upwards towards the element of air, not allow ourselves to feel like we're drowning and consumed in the element of water. So, but if you haven't cut out some of the old stuff that was weighing you down, it's like an anchor just holding you there under the ocean to feel and feel and feel. And that's why in my line of work, we say you have to feel to heal, because you have to feel that stuff through and then float up. But if you get stuck in the feeling that it's not actually creating movement, because our emotions should be in motion. And if they never roll through you, if they get trapped inside you, that's where dis-ease is created, where they get frozen in there or they swell you up. And that can be physically, mentally, emotionally, etc. And then because we are now floating up to the air, because the wise masculine air king helped us to cut away, we float up and we go a little bit like being born through the womb, the waters of the womb, out into air, and taking that first gasp of air into your lungs. Because of course, although a baby's lungs in the womb practice breathe, it's not breathing air yet until that baby is born. And so this is such a beautiful new beginning for us in this 2025 that we've all stepped into, and the choice to breathe for the first time, take in new narratives, new ideas, new storylines, and build in the ones that have come with you. Like, there are parts of our ancestry, we don't want to lose that connection, but the trauma we can leave behind. And then, of course, that brings us into our bonus card, which is such a lovely Pentacles card, the Six of Pens, which is all about reciprocity, give and take. You can see the infinity there, or the figure of 8, and it's about as much as I give, I must receive. And that doesn't necessarily mean if you give the butcher a certain amount of money, well, there you do, you receive the value of that money in product, or if you go to the baker or whatever it is, it's about give and take, but it's not always from the same person overall. So let's say you are an amazing shoulder for a friend in need, and at that point the friend cannot give back to you, but either you've made an investment in the bank of this friendship, and down the line this friend will pay back with interest, and then down the line you will pay back again with interest, and so it is not necessarily immediate. Or you have invested in a friend in need, and then out of the blue somebody will phone you with something very special that is like something you are able to receive, something, whether it is a compliment, whether it is you won a prize. Just to remember that there are many ways that balancing out the giving and receiving can work. It is not always I give you this, you give me that. Now we are square, now we are done, and we have nothing to do with each other until I come back into the shop and I give you this amount of money and you give me that amount of produce. So this is something I think to look at for this entire year. Where is that reciprocity, and how is it balancing out overall? Because it isn't always so cut and dried. So we should always be in the process of giving, and always be in the process of allowing ourselves to receive, even if it's not from the place that we intended through the giving. So again, almost a sense of I am giving in order to give, because I want to give, because I'm coming from the space of giving, whether that giving is money, whether that giving is time, whether that giving is sending love from your heart without the other person even knowing, whether it is adopting a pet, it doesn't matter. Trusting that it will be returned to you. That's not why you do it, but you trust that that's what will happen. And most importantly, allowing, because we tend to be people that either give better than we receive or receive better than we give. So depending on where your predisposition is on the side of things, I want you to imagine, can I balance the scales? If I'm really good at giving, let me keep giving, but let me start to allow myself to receive in all different ways. If I'm really good at receiving, let me allow myself to practice some giving to balance the reciprocity, because that bonus card feels like a little bit of like an extra credit for us this year. Okay, I look forward to sharing more card readings with you as we progress through 2025. And if you've enjoyed this reading, or you're looking forward to having your own personal reading, please do look at the link in my bio or the link below this video. Get in touch with me via email, and we can make that happen. Anywhere in the world, I can do a Zoom call with you. Thanks for your time.